Hey everybody, how's it going?
What's up?
This is Theo and Derek, your hosts for today's episodes for the Heels of Time, and we're going to do a little reaction to the last two episodes. Yeah, we missed last week. Hope you guys enjoyed our little holiday extravaganza of Moraine, and our lost episode that we kind of forgot to put out, but hey, it worked out perfect because it was a holiday
We
weekend for us.
we
So
found it in the archives, dusted it off, and threw it out there for
yep.
you.
So hopefully you enjoyed it. If not, sorry. It was what we got. So today we're doing a reaction to the last two episodes of the Wheel of Time TV show. So it's going to be episodes 4, and this week 5 came out. So heavy spoilers. If you haven't seen it, probably don't watch our video. I hate to say it because we do like our likes and we do like our subscribers and we do like our viewers, but it's gonna be pretty spoiler heavy. So if you're, and they had some good stuff this time around, so
Oh, for sure.
it'll definitely spoil the show for you if you watch. So be forewarned, and we're not forsaken, so we're good. So what'd you think, Derek? Overall, what'd you think of 4?
Oh, I thought 4 was amazing, and we're going to kind of run through this one a little bit quicker. And a lot of folks are talking about how the episode ended, and we'll talk about that in a second.
Yep.
And how, that maybe gives proof that maybe a certain character might be the Dragon Reborn. However, even though the title of this episode is okay, but actually going with the evidence that they're showing us in the series, I actually think what the episode was about was saying Logain is not the Dragon Reborn. So it's the episode starts with Logain
Mm-hmm.
and Gildan, uh, and he heals. They show that Logain is a great healer, and they have him in this long hair, bearded situation, kind of perhaps either Arabic looking, kind of like a Jesus Christ kind of look, and kind of like, go in peace, my son, kind of
Kind of
vibe
vibe.
that we get from him,
Yep.
right? So circle this to the end, and then we see what happens. And he decides, well, he's not the dragon, and that's how the episode really ultimately ends. So now it literally ends with a shot, from Nynaeve staring into the camera. But that's what I'm going to posit here. As far as just looking at it from watching the show point of view, I think the episode was just about saying Logain's not the dragon.
I would
So
agree.
back to you,
That's
Theo.
exactly how I took it too, and I like the first part, and the first vibes I got were of Judeo-Christian
Mhm.
belief system in terms of how he was like, oh, kind of like turn the other cheek, and he
Oh
gets
yeah,
like smacked, and he's like, it's okay, I forgive you, and
right.
he's like, what? And he's like, I didn't actually mean to like hurt you bad, and look what I can do, and bam,
Right.
got the healing. Now, it threw me for a loop for a minute, and I almost did a table flip
Hmm.
when he heard the voice.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh crap. Not cool. That's now the second time that he's heard voices, and they've manifested with something. And then the female voice came through too, and I'm like, ooh, I bet you he is just going crazy.
Hmm.
Not that he's actually the dragon himself.
Now in the show, they have specified that past dragons may have been female.
Correct.
So that might not necessarily be a problem, but
True. But
still, it was enough to be. You're saying this is kind of not kind of jiving as far as
for me,
knows.
for
as
me
far as
at
the-
least, yes. And
so
obviously he's
from your
already.
point
I
of view.
mean,
Right.
for those of you that don't know, he was already huge spoiler here, which proves our theory a little bit that he's not the dragon. Is well, at the end of the episode he was also gentled, so
Oh, most definitely. Most
so he's definitely not the dragon. But
So, hey, I want to run this by you. To me, there, I saw some more Judeo-Christian
Sure.
parallels.
oh yeah,
So when he was being gentled, the way that the dark power came out of him.
yep, it was like an exorcism.
Well, it was like an exorcism, yeah.
Yeah.
But what I also saw were angel wings,
I didn't
and
notice
and then teardrops falling.
that out of
And
him.
I'm like,
Yes,
oh.
I didn't notice the angel wings. That may be something I have to look.
And
Rewatch.
this could just be my mind, right? But
Yeah,
when
yeah.
they rip the power out of his chest. It flowed left and right.
Yeah,
And they
okay,
looked like
true.
two big wings. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I do remember
So,
that. I thought you were actually
and
physically talking about like archangel wings.
gotcha.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
from a
yeah.
so let's back up. So from a Judeo-Christian point of view, maybe Logain is like some kind of a fallen angel. He had too much pride, and the teardrops and everything. So maybe he's not the big bad, but the little bad, Lucifer. The morning star. He tried to get too close, kind of like an Icarus, really.
Got too close to the sun and
then fizzled out. So that's exactly what Logain does. So just kind of a thought there.
in theory, like at least in the books, I don't think Logain was like a bad guy either. Like it wasn't like even like a little bad guy. I think it was legit.
Oh yeah, no, most definitely he's legit, and that seems to be how they're portraying him here.
Yeah.
Now, so let's talk about just for a second the one other big
Mega?
thing that happened.
Well,
in
there's
this,
two big things.
before we get
Two
to
big
that. Right. I just before we get to that, right? Matt and his dagger, right?
Oh yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Damn
I
it,
see
dagger.
you. Okay.
Yeah.
So now we talked about this, and we have some more evidence in this upcoming episode. It appears the Murdral killed the family. Okay.
That's my guess.
That's what it appears to be. However, this is what we're the host of the show and myself debated this a little bit. We're trying to pin it down. I think we both agree. The question was, when the Murdral saw Matt come in after murdering the family, did he hide for a better tactical point to wait for Rand and Tom to come in so he could kind of ambush them all at once? Or did he hide to literally conceal himself from Matt, like fleeing in terror? Was he afraid? And not Matt, but this ruby...
The dagger. The dagger itself.
Ruby hilted dagger,
Yeah.
right? And I think we landed on Theo.
I said he was terrified of the dagger.
Yeah, and I agree. And
And that's
so,
why Matt exclaims, "I can see you." Now I think Matt was kind of hazed out,
still
from
possessed, maybe.
Yeah, kind of like I think the dagger had him.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Had him under the control because there are evidence for that in the episode 5, which we'll get to in a sec. But I wouldn't say the look on the Midrill's face, because if you want to say face, I can't really see it. But I think just how it could kind of like, it was like, oh crap, like back and forth was like, oh crap. And then Derek has a very interesting theory about Tom.
Oh, you're gonna bring that up? Okay.
I mean, you kind of have to, because we brought up Rand and my evidence of the beatdown of the door.
Mm-hmm.
And so to me, I was like, he's named, and you're like, man, hold on, pull your horses. You don't know. I was like, it's Rand, and I still think it's Rand, but that's okay. But Derek had a really interesting theory, and at first I was like, man, I don't know about that. And then I actually started thinking, and I'm like, you know what? That actually kind of makes sense. So, hit him with it.
Well, thank you, my friend. You do me too much justice. But let me spell it out. So, and this is snowballing. There's actually going to be more evidence in the next episode once we wrap up with this. But basically, Tom Merlin, I do not think he is all that he claims to be.
Mm-hmm.
And when we see him dealing with that Murdral, first of all, he didn't look like he was afraid of dying in the slightest.
Right.
Secondly, how did he get away from it? He kicked that thing like it was a tin can. It sailed across the room. And they haven't really established the strengths of the Murdral exactly in this television series.
Yeah.
But you would imagine that they have supernatural strength. We could be wrong. We could find out that they don't. But boom, right? So my thought is, going back to the books, there's this little known sequence in the books where our protagonist, in the case of the books, since we don't know this is a show, is going on the show, Rand al'Thor does learn to channel, and he learns it from a captured member of the Forsaken known as Asmodean. And Asmodean, Theo, as we discussed, is disguised as a Gleeman. He becomes Rand's bard so that he can remain close and no one can be suspicious as to what this guy is doing. So, and he wears the disguise while he does this so no one knows who he is. So, let's go back to the series. We know that
The TV series.
The TV series. We know that they're going to have to combine certain characters or cut certain characters. And they threw this right in our face with Iman Velda, who seems to be kind of a combination of the White Cloak Velda, who is a soldier, and the White Cloak Asanawa, who is an inquisitor. So it seems like they're doing that. So the thought is Tom Merlin, the Gleeman, is Asmodean in disguise. And I am now officially pushing it, and I'm beyond it, and you're going to see our Twitter account officially pushing hashtag Tom is Asmodean.
Ooh, yeah.
So, and one other piece of evidence that at least he's a dark friend also comes from that same episode before we move on. In that, or is it the previous episode, actually, where Tom kills the dark friend?
Yeah, it's a previous episode, yep.
Yeah, previous episode. Why does he kill her? And why does he target her throat, like to keep her from talking? And why did she make everyone applaud for him after singing that song? And yeah, maybe they were working together and maybe he needed to quiet her up. So last thing, Theo, and this is also something I'm pushing. I think the song he sang in that bar about the man who can't forget, I think that song came from the Age of Legends. Because why in the modern day Wheel of Time are they going to sing about the dragon in that weird way? Like
True.
He was singing about him like he saw the events happen.
Yes, with the emotion
Yeah.
and like drawing his power, maybe.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's my thought.
Makes
my thought.
Yep. There's a little more evidence in the next episode too, but we'll get to that in a moment.
We'll get to that. Yep.
So, reaching for the thing that I thought was really cool, and obviously we're going to get to the actual ending of that episode in a sec, but I really enjoyed the how they portrayed the Warder Bond.
Yeah.
And
that was very, yeah.
You know, they don't go in the books. It's I wouldn't say it's not really glossed over, but it takes books and books to kind of, you're like, oh wow, they're close. Oh wow, they're really close. Oh,
Right.
in some Aja, they are wink wink super close.
Yeah, they're intimate, right?
And then
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
others that hate them, like don't like guys, so to
Yep.
speak, because guys, warders. And it's not until kind of, I wouldn't say maybe, if I can remember right, maybe book 3 or 4, at least for me, when I actually kind of grasped how deep their bond really was. And like what could happen if one or the other doesn't survive a battle or passes away or something.
Right.
Yes, they have great, everything slows down for them, but still, they can still die. And in this episode, although if I recall from the book, it doesn't actually happen this way, but when the Aes Sedai passes, like the warder immediately feels it. He's like, you can see it like in the middle of this chaotic battle, he's just like lost.
Right.
And then kind of goes psycho a little bit. I think that like from a cinematography point of view, that was pretty powerful for me. I'm like, okay, I knew the bonds go deep, so to speak, but interesting that they brought it up this early, and it's shown really, in my mind, really well. And it goes both ways, because unless you have something to say, I'm going to segue to the ending of the episode.
Well, I'm going to say something just right quick.
Yeah, go for it.
In cinematography, so in literature, you usually do things in 3s.
Yeah.
In cinematography, it's usually in 2s. And that's probably a budget reason, or maybe it's an attention span thing, because you got to do it in hour chunks of time.
Right.
So usually you see a smaller version of the big thing happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so um, where I'm going for here is we see some Aes Sedai. We don't know her that much, and we have her warder Steppen. We meet in the show,
Mm-hmm.
and in just a couple episodes, he's already gone from us.
Poof.
And he's like this really cool guy. Like he gets along with everybody. He's
Yep.
charismatic.
Yep.
He has a dark history that
Yep.
he's been carrying on his shoulders like a boulder, and this is the end of his path, right? Oh, I'm skipping ahead to the next episode.
Yeah, it's all good though.
But the point is that I want to make, and then we can wrap up the previous episode. I'll throw it back to you. Is that maybe there's another Aes Sedai that's going to lose a warder in this series, and that's going to be the big moment.
So
that's all I'm going to say.
I'm going to segue. I'm just going to blow it out. So at the end of the episode, everyone's like, "Oh my God, is Nynaeve the dragon?"
Oh, and why would they think Nynaeve is the dragon?
Well, that's what I was getting to.
Yeah.
So mind you, as far as we know, and as far as she knows, she's never actually channeled before. Sure, they technically speaking, when she talks to the winds or listens to the winds, she's channeling. She just doesn't know it.
I think so.
Yeah.
And I think there's something in the next episode actually.
That's my guess.
Okay.
I was going to spoil all this shit, but it's all good.
Okay. No, go ahead, man.
So, I think she already has a liking. I'm not going to say a bond, because bonds mean two different things. But I think she has a liking to Lan.
Mm-hmm.
And
most definitely.
And then when Lan and the battle's like going on and on, they're like, "Oh, something's wrong," because everyone's like, "Oh crap!"
Right.
And all the Aes Sedai roll to Logain because like, "Uh-oh, there's some trouble." They see what goes down, and Steppen's like, "Murder time!" Whoosh,
right.
Tries to smash those axes, and then when they blow apart and they stab everybody,
right.
Lan's going to die. Period. Like he's straight bleeding out. He's literally, I mean, if you guys have watched the show, I mean, he's squirting blood from his throat.
Like literally, it's a dire situation.
Yeah, I mean, and Moraine is in trouble. Liandrin, everybody is in trouble. Like they're all in dire straits. Mm-hmm. And being Ta'Veren, guess what? Guess what misses the shrapnel? Guess who gets missed by the shrapnel?
Right, Nynaeve.
Boom,
right?
And she's like, "Oh shit, it is right next to me." Runs over to Lan. She's trying all of her like normal first aid stuff, which obviously is not working. She looks right at him. Boom. Super heals. Everybody in the entire cave gets healed.
Right.
I don't think it was to make everybody else healed. I think she knew Lan was going to die. And I don't know if she necessarily cares about anybody else, because in theory they just met.
Well, and she doesn't seem to even like Aes Sedai.
Yep.
Really.
And boom, she healed him.
Right.
Which was also hinted at in the next episode. But that is when Logain, I think, realized that he's not as strong as he thinks he is. And her Mega Blast is so powerful that he's like, crap, if this... I mean, he knows what an Aes Sedai is. She's not even a novice or anything. If she can do that with zero training, I'm not the dragon.
Right, no doubt. And it seems like he
allowed himself to be gentled.
Well, right. That's for sure. But it wouldn't have mattered with all those sisters anyway. But
maybe.
No, I don't think so. But
they were weak, though.
I mean, yeah, but
it would have been an interesting. It would have been an interesting flip. Let's put it that way.
Maybe he was lying about only needing two sisters to hold him.
Right.
Or maybe Liandrin let her weave go. Theo, we'll never know.
Well, we won't know until later on if she's black.
Well, right. Maybe there'll be some flashbacks.
Aja.
No, for sure. Yeah. No, for sure.
But, by the way, there might be another Aja, y'all.
Oh, yeah. Dun, dun, dun. The 8th Aja. So, but I guess what I was just going to say real quick is that he thought that when he healed the king of Gildan, that was like he should be impressed by that. Like, what I mean by that is he once he healed him, he was just like, "Come with me, my son," you know,
Yep.
like, and that was just like a minor wound, right? So, like, as to your point, when he witnesses like what 8 people being brought from the brink of death back to life, or however many people were there,
Right.
in a much quicker fashion too. And yeah, that had to be impressive. And the showrunner made it clear, no, he couldn't see the weaves Nynaeve was weaving. That's still the same as in the books. Men can't see what women do. Women can't see what men do. It's he saw the aftermath. He saw that everyone's flesh got knitted up. He saw
Yep.
that everyone that had shrapnel in them and whatever else, suddenly they were fine. So, and I like the effect with her hair going all crazy everywhere. So I wonder if they're going to have that be a plot point for her, that she has to be angry when she channels, like in the books, or maybe they're going to correct that. So does that wrap it up for episode 4? You think we pretty much covered the?
And by the way, I think there's a little foreshadowing with what I said, with Nynaeve
Well,
healing Lan because they have a nice friendship.
oh yeah, no, most definitely.
Wink,
And I think
wink, nod,
see-
nod.
we see more of that kind of more promise of that from the next episode. So why don't we jump into episode 5? Do you want to start us off? Or?
5 was nuts. I loved it. I wasn't
Yeah,
super.
yeah.
I'll be honest. I was hyped. I was like, oh man, this is fabulous. I will be honest though, the last 30 seconds, I was like, I don't know. And I'm only saying that I'll get to my I don't know in a minute. But man, I loved how they brought everybody back. Well, not everybody, I guess, yet back together, but they brought 3 out of the 5 back together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure, they skipped the mega town. And they kind of combined one town in from 2 towns, but that's okay. I think that was more of a budgetary thing.
And you're talking about how we didn't see Camlin. Instead,
Right.
the events that happen in Camlin appear to be happening in Tarvalon instead.
Right.
Okay.
And I mean, as we've spoken before, just because you have basically an unlimited budget doesn't mean you can just blow it. And
Right. Yeah.
when they were probably making the show, like maybe in post-production or what have you, that's when they probably got renewed for season 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
So, as Derek pointed out, it'd be really crappy not to see the White Tower ever.
Yeah. Most definitely.
Get to the White Tower. It'd be like Frodo not getting to Mordor ever.
Or there's no like Emerald City and the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, so I mean, you kind of, I understand why they had to combine it. Disappointing into a point, but again, this isn't like a 25-hour long episode that you can just like grind out. There are things that
Right.
got to be combined and cut, and I dig it.
Most definitely.
Derek had always warned me there's going to be a part in the books that, dude, you just got to get through it. It's a slow shrug. It just is what it is. I'm not going to say because I don't want to detract anyone from the actual books because that's exactly what he did to me. But I was like, this has got to be it. And if it's not, oh my God, I may be done. And I brought it to his attention. He's like, yup, just keep reading, man. I was like, okay, cool. He's like, you're at the part. That part probably took me a week to get through just because I was like, okay, I can read 10 pages. Done. You can't really do that yet in the show. They actually have already kind of done that. So they've already gotten part of like the slow part for me over with, which is pretty impressive because they literally did it in like 5 minutes, which is what I told Derek. Like legit could have been done in like 5 pages. So
Well,
I'm
to each
happy
their own.
with some of the chops. Man, so now we're gonna go to my theory that I'm still thinking is Rand.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
So 1, White Cloaks. We have a combo character in the what do you call himself? The child follower.
Child Velda.
Yeah,
And so he.
that's right,
is-
Velda.
In the show, they name him Iman Velda.
Yep.
In the book series, there is a Velda. He's like a captain commander. He's like a soldier. He's a battler. He fights in battles, he fights in skirmishes, and he's also, this isn't really funny, but he's also an alcoholic. It's just a very strange
Character.
little addition to his
Yeah.
character. So in this, there's also this other guy who's an inquisitor, because they still have the same thing. They still kind of segregate. They have their soldiers and then their inquisitors. The inquisitor is this guy Asanawa, and he is a nasty, nasty dude. And he pretty much just has no emotions. He just doesn't care. He's just like doing. He's just like, well, whatever. And everyone's a dark friend kind of thing. So
I'll kill now, ask questions later.
right, everyone's guilty. So it looks like they kind of combined these two characters together, which is cool, because there's like what 260. I'm making this up. I don't know how many characters, but there's many characters.
Yeah.
In the Wheel of Time, and I don't mind that, as long as as long as it serves a purpose. So it looks like it's working out here, because we never really get in the Wheel of Time this overarching sense of doom or danger from the White Cloaks. It's always like, oh well, they're just buffoons, kind of like, oh, here come the White Cloaks.
Dude,
cue the Benny,
do you know how
cue the Benny Hill music.
the funny part is, when I was reading this, I was like, these are stormtroopers.
Right. Exactly. Yes. Exactly.
They're literally
They're
cannon
just-
fodder.
Yeah. Exactly. So to give us a more
Aggressive.
more of a present and
Yep.
evident threat, so to speak, from the White Cloaks. I enjoy that.
Yep.
They look dangerous. They
Mhm.
do.
They do
look like they
dangerous
don't mess
stuff.
around. And actually, I thought, even if we end up finding out that they did more to the traveling people than we saw on camera, yeah, they beat. I like that they showed them being physically violent with their hands and fists, because it makes you think. It's like, wait, they're willing to do this to people that literally will not fight back. Like, what
Yeah.
are they going to do and they know to their core that you're not going to fight back, and I'm still just beating you across the face.
Yeah.
Like, that was very visceral for me. It's like,
Yep.
okay, these guys are terrible.
I agree, and so I like that little twist that they did in the TV series. They didn't make them cannon fodder. They didn't make them like hilariously. Oh my God, here they come again. Oh, let me just put on a pair of sunglasses, and they're not gonna notice me.
Right. No, most definitely.
So
not.
I actually enjoyed that, and I think you're right. I really liked when they captured the our two of our protagonists, and how they, man, the choice is brutal.
Ooh. Oh,
And
goodness.
now I appreciate Parent's character much more. I know I was a little skeptical at first with the wife thing, and I was like, by him like admitting it to Eglin, and she's like, dude, it's unfortunate, but it was an accident. You got to forgive yourself. It goes on, blah blah blah. He's like, but if it has to be you or me, it's got to be me. I'm a terrible person, but she won't do it. And that jerk keeps being like, what you gonna do? I'm gonna kill you both, whatever. And then she has this little wisp of little flames, which she's like, man, that's a joke. But for someone who didn't weave at all, and then threw out a little poof, pretty impressive how she actually did another one to burn off the shackles.
Right? Yeah.
So she
Very
tricked
impressive.
him, and then, being surprised, she stabbed him real quick, and then we cut to the baller part. This is where I got some chills, man.
Well, time out though. You
Yeah,
missed a very important point.
I'm talking about the glowing eyes.
No, I know, but before that, I'm not going to mention that.
I
know. I'll let you bring that up.
All
Hold
right.
on. Valda, remember in the first episode, I think, very first episode that they run into them, Valda makes a point to say that he abhors combat. It's not like, that's not what he does.
Right.
And the soldiers think that Inquisitors are kind of like beneath. They're like, why do they get away without fighting? That's despicable, kind of. But notice how much of a coward he is. Like, as soon as Perrin is free, he gave up instantly. Perrin didn't even have a weapon yet, and he instantly gave up. So you wanted to hit on one part specifically, so go for it.
So, Inquisitors usually don't like the battle type stuff.
No, they don't. They don't participate.
This is even historical. They like to question. They like to torture. But those individuals, they weren't on the front lines.
No.
So I can understand. He's not a fighter. He's really
No.
good at getting information in a very specific way.
Yeah.
And obviously, by killing all those Aes Sedai that he has, he's good at what he does. Well, I mean, it's terrible, but he's good at what he does.
And the brilliant dialogue they had to like so easily showcase that like he understands how logic works.
Yeah.
Like when she's like, I cannot channel. And so instead of just saying, "Oh, you're lying to me," and getting mad, he's like, "Oh, well then you're not Aes Sedai, because if you were, you couldn't lie, because you definitely can channel." I just thought that was
Yep. And he's like, even
brilliant.
in the killer part was he's like can't remember the exact terminology, but he's like, well, you can't be Aes Sedai because they can't lie, even when they mix their words or mince their
Yeah.
words or something like that. So
Right.
he knows the truth within the truth kind of
Right.
thing.
So he knows the subtleties.
Yep.
Well, he's killed 7 Aes Sedai, right?
Yep. So I think
I like that.
I thought it was brilliant as well.
Yeah. It was very
And
well-
he's like, cool,
very well
but I'm
done.
still gonna do some shit to you guys.
And it's also showing how naive Egwene is, because she's still like, oh, I'm country folk woman. She didn't, or dude. I'm not trying to pick on that.
Right.
But she if she was more well versed in this world, she would have thought to ask, well, how do you know I can channel?
Right.
So I assume that's going to be something that's going to come out as
It has to, because that's the one thing I was like, unless he was literally does the I don't care and I'm just going to try to murder people.
Well, so there are two ways. So everyone is freaking out saying, "Oh, he has a Taran grill. He has a Taran grill." Blah 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 blah. Well, that could be the case, or it could be he's a dark friend,
Right.
and he has information.
Right.
And if he has information, he can act on it, but he still has to act within
The white cloak.
The white cloaks. Like, so let's say he straight up knew
Knows.
he needed to kill Perrin and Egwene, like straight up. He still would need to manufacture an excuse to do that within the confines of being a white cloak.
Yep.
Like,
He couldn't just go out and murder people.
no, because then
Yeah.
people would be like, "Oh, you're a murderer," and then he'd lose his position. So, but overall, very interesting character. I like that first he's eating that the delicacy of that strange little bird, and now he's eating. It looks like some kind of piglet.
Yeah. So
Like,
look.
it's not a full grown, boar or whatever. So he seems to have very specific appetites.
For meat. Meat.
Well, yeah, but not just meat, but like he likes to eat defenseless things.
Oh, I never thought of
Specifically.
it I never thought of it from that perspective.
Yeah, you have this little bird, and then you have this
Truly, a
piglet,
little piglet can't defend. Yeah, you're a good point.
and then he's torturing people. So
Yeah. So we're gonna get on my rant hop now.
all right, sure.
So
Well, did you come out and say it though? Perrin's eyes.
man, I know I was getting to that shit. So what does he do? Marks Perrin. Almost looks like claw marks.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Hint, hint. Claws. Then Mr. Perrin Golden Eyes. Boom. That lights up. Hint from the books. Can't say it's specific from the show. But in the books, and from our previous episodes, for when we were looking at characters, Perrin is a wolf friend, right? So he can talk to the wolves. Wolves can talk to him. He's very in touch with the wolf, like the species wolf. So when his eyes are glowing, what's going down outside? Those wolves are attacking. Is he in my humble opinion, does that mean he's the dragon? No, that means he's pairing golden eyes.
Right.
Doesn't mean he may not be able to channel in the show. I'm not saying that. But does that mean he's the dragon? I say not. Egwene, that little poof that she does, impressive as it is, considering that she literally faked out the Aes Sedai Slayer. Yeah, that's pretty damn impressive for someone who's never actually knowingly channeled before. But I would think if you're gonna make the dragon come alive, I think they're gonna do it in fantastical fashion. I don't think they're gonna be a little, oops. Oh, I can channel. No, I think it's gonna be like something's gonna be going down. They're gonna be in a battle. Something major's gonna happen.
No, I agree because
And then boom.
with cinematography usually following the twos pattern, we already saw something big happen with Nynaeve. So that's number
Right.
one. So
Yep.
now that's whet our appetites.
Yep.
You know, so we're waiting for the bigger one.
Yep.
I agree.
So for me, that means
well, hold on. That
Yeah,
also
yeah.
you want to. So we talked about Nynaeve not actually being the dragon.
right.
We didn't hit that up. So but I think you mentioned you think she's going to be a novice at the White Tower, or
Yep. Well, they specifically say that.
yeah.
Is she
they
going to be a
basically
novice at the
say-
White Tower? No, I don't think she's going to be. I think is she going to be some baller ass channeler? Absolutely.
Okay.
That's my opinion. Going from the books, of course. Going from the books. Technically, she was a novice in the books, I guess you could say, sort of, kind of.
No, she never was actually.
She never did I know she never did the oath bars
That's
or whatever.
no, but that's different. That's the last thing they do is Aes Sedai. So the first thing you do is Aes Sedai is you're a novice and you have like no
True.
privileges whatsoever.
Yeah,
except
yeah,
for,
true.
Like,
You gotta
once a
clean
year,
the shit. Yeah.
there's novice day or whatever they call it, and you get to free day or whatever. So Nynaeve, because I think Swan Sanche basically was like, you have so much promise, I'm going to pronounce that you are an accepted, and because
that's why she skipped it.
Seat,
Yeah.
she can make pronouncements.
Yep. You're
And
right.
So
she was technically never a novice.
right, and it caused quite
A stir.
because in recent memory, no Aes Sedai could remember an accepted not having been a novice first.
Right.
So
You're right,
she's
you're right.
exceptional in that way. So yeah, but they could still do that.
They could.
And I mean, they could even, when Leandrin was like, blah blah blah, no matter what, she's gonna be a novice.
Right.
And then if Swan promotes her to accepted, like Maureen and her could talk again, and she could be like, "Oh, I guess I said I can lie after all."
Right.
And then we'll think it's a joke, but then literally Leandrin will turn out to be a Black Aja.
And we know, well, she doesn't really get a hold by the oaths anyway, so it's irrelevant.
But we don't know that she's black.
No.
For the show, we don't know that.
Right. So that's my theory.
So you're saying no Nynaeve. Well, so why not Matt? For our viewers who are keeping track.
So for me, it's the dagger for Matt, right? So the books, it was always the dagger. Matt doesn't channel in the books.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have to go back to actually, because this is very specific. When skipping forward in the show a little bit in episode 5, Matt, Rand meet up with Lowell. We'll get to him in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Lowell finds someone from Two Rivers. Rand's assuming it's going to be Egwene, is my opinion. It actually turns out to be Nynaeve. That's cool too.
Mm-hmm.
Boom brings in, which is also really good because she's a healer.
Right.
And also Ta'Veren.
Right.
Now you got 3 of them together.
That's
And
trouble.
she's like, yeah. And she's like, "Oh, Matt, are you okay?" And he's like, really aggressive with her. He's like, "Don't you touch me!" And he's like, "I'm sorry."
Mm-hmm.
Still think it's the dagger because he hasn't shown anybody the damn dagger yet, specifically. And Rand, Nynaeve are talking by themselves outside of earshot of Matt, we think. And he's like, "I think Matt can channel." He's like, "Why? Have you seen him?" "Well, no." And then I get a hazy. I don't remember exactly what they say. But she's like, "Well, has he done this and this?" And the answer was no. And she's like, "Well, he doesn't channel." And that's from, my guess is that's from her experience with Logain. And she also feels that she can cure Matt. just because she's
she feels like her herbs are going to be enough, right?
right.
Something
And
like that.
she hasn't mentioned that she can channel, that we know of, that to Rand at least. And if Matt could really channel, if what she saw what happened to Logain, it took all those sisters to try to like calm him down and gentle him. There's no way by herself she's going to do that to Matt. Even if they're friends, that's not going to take place. So in my mind, that kind of marks him as affected by the dagger, which matches the book.
Sure. So you're saying that gives him enough reason to not be the Dragon Reborn, because that's fine. I think the biggest piece of supporting evidence for Rand being the dragon to date has been the fact that he picked up that Karathon cycle book.
Damn right.
Which talks about the prophecy of the dragon.
Right.
So it's interesting that fell in his hands.
Well, that was my next step, because a very important character. Lowell comes in. Woo!
Yeah. Finally, we get to see this. Ogier is in the series, and he is really funny and well written, and I was happy to see him in the show.
I thought they did him justice.
Almost definitely.
Disagree with me if you want. I don't care. That one I'm going to stick to. I liked him.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I thought it was cool that they CGI'd him up a little bit, like with his hands and stuff. But did he need to be 9 feet tall? No. I think what they did works. Thinking to how complicated it was for them to film Lord of the Rings with Gandalf essentially taking place of a 9 foot tall person compared to a hobbit, if a hobbit was the normal height.
Right.
And having to do all these camera tricks back and forth to make it, like, we don't have time for all that.
No.
Like, so I think the compromise they did was great. And mostly this guy, he has his mannerisms down to a T.
Yep.
Like, he would make you think he was 9 feet tall. Like, the guy they got for him is awesome. So I'm going to leave it at that.
And I was getting good at the book with the Rand thing. So what does Rand pick up out of all those damn books in the entire library? The cycle book.
The cycle book, yeah.
Out of all of them. And even Lowell was like, you know this book?
Oh, I just want to, sorry to do this now live, but I think Loyal was talking about the other book he picks up.
Was it the other one?
Yeah, and that's the Travels of Jane Farstrider, which, here's something that's interesting. So, Rand says that Egwene pictures herself as being Jane Reborn, okay? Mm-hmm. Loyal was about to say something like, well, that wouldn't be possible because... And Rand just is like, yeah, I know. He cut him off. He's like, it's just something that she believes. And then Loyal's like, oh, I forgot how frivolous you humans can be.
Right.
And then he's like, oh, wait, you guys live so short. Like, is she still even alive? He's like, I don't know. So what's interesting is, what was he about to say? Well, even though in the book, Jane is a dude, I don't think Loyal was going to say, well, Jane was a dude, so he couldn't be reborn as a female. I don't think that's what it was. I think he was going to say, well, Jane Farstrider's still alive, dude. You can't be reborn if you haven't died yet. That's what I think he was going to say. And I think that cryptic message right there is just enough of like a seed for like 3 or 4 seasons later. I'm Jane Farstrider. You know what I mean? I think, and they can throw that back to be like, oh yeah, he's not dead or whatever, you know? But just my opinion, I hope to see that character in the show, however they do him. He's in the book. He's under a disguise in the book, but he shows up in book 9 as a guy named Noel. So keep a lookout for Noel or Jane. So Rand, best potential for being the dragon so far, you think?
Yeah, I'm sticking to it, man.
Well, from a cinematography point of view, halfway through the show, having Nynaeve do a big feat like that, again, sets it up for him to do something grander.
Right.
And I could see that happening. Egwene and Perrin are still kind of lost in the woods. They'll meet up, though. Everyone will be together. So let's cut to a big part of this episode that we both appreciated and liked. The idol statues of the Forsaken.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna jump right because we're
Do it.
going a little bit.
Yep,
So I'm
do
gonna
it.
jump right into it. Sure, he said he's praying to Ishmael. That looks like the Squid Games tiger mask wearing statue guy. Sure. So we'll get to know more about Ishi as time goes by. There's a rather buxuous figure. I'm guessing Semiraj. That's fine. There's a rather short bearded figure. I'm guessing that's Samil, who's known as being short, having a beard and a scar that Lews Therin gave him on his face that he never got rid of just so that he could remember. And then we could argue about maybe who some of the others are. But to the right of the Ishmael idol is dun 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 conspiracy theory. Put your tinfoil hats on. Tom Merlin is Asmodean. I'm telling y'all, that statuette is a little man holding a guitar vertically. He's holding it vertically, so it may be hard to catch the first look. That, my friends, is Tom Merlin as a disguise that he wears from his real name to conceal Asmodean from being known. So that's my theory. That's what we're sticking with. What do you think, man? He's got that guitar.
Gleeman. Tom's a Gleeman. Why? And everyone's like, why would you help? Why would you help like these two strange kids? You don't know who they are. And if you're going to like, you know, take their money and shit, why wouldn't you just let her kill them and then take their monies?
Right.
He has like, no reason to help him at all.
No. And for all we know, he made up everything he said about that ale man to Matt. Like, he was just trying to get close to him. Who knows? Just want to see what he was going to do.
And then to have the Forsaken kind of look like a Gleeman. The little statue looking like a Gleeman.
Mm-hmm.
Tom's playing a guitar in the show. Mm-hmm. Not a harp like in the books.
Right.
At first, I'll be honest, I was like, man, Derek's got some crazy stuff. And then as it's going on, I'm like, man, it's not so crazy. I'm like, you know, you kind of got me on the Tam Asmi train.
Yeah.
So I was like, it'll be interesting to see.
Modian.
Tom Modian. That would be funny if they actually renamed him. So the sad part is the ending.
Yeah, you said the last 30 seconds you said you weren't a fan of.
No. I dug like the whole thing with the water bond and like the devastating nature it took, even the ritualistic super spoiler. I'll give you guys a second. Suicide was pretty devastating. I was like, man, that's some heavy. I was like, that was a cool character. And they kind of hinted at maybe him taking another Aes Sedai.
Yep.
And then, but he planned this out. He grabbed the tea, drugged Lan because he knew Lan was going to stop him and could stop him. And that sucked. So and I'm cool with the water burial kind of thing. I'm cool with even like the pound, because to me that was like beating your one chest, and then two, like kind of like beating your pain out of yourself.
Didn't it seem kind of Roman to you?
Very, very. But I guess the part that I didn't like, and maybe you can, this is live, so I mean, I don't know, we didn't actually talk about this beforehand. I was just like, I didn't like the last 30 seconds.
Dropping them live.
So I'm like, I'm cool with everybody like joining in. I'm cool with everybody like doing their thing. I'm cool with the chants. I'm cool with all that stuff. The only thing I wasn't overly kind of scratching my head is Lan's reaction. Like the bawling he was doing. And I'm like, he's a stoic individual. Or I'll rephrase, in the book, and maybe that's because I really, really, really like him in the book. I find him like a Deadpool kind of guy, like just hack, slash, destroy, get slashed up. You heal eventually, and you go back to battle, and it's like, I look at him, he's just a super warrior. He's very stoic. He has some stuff go down. Yes, maybe they'll show that, and they've already hinted at it in the show. So perhaps everything will be dope and it'll be fine. But for him to react like that to him, I was kind of like, I don't know if that follows character too much. And maybe that's just my interpretation of how I envisioned him. If Moraine died, yup, I could see him being super crazy devastated, naturally, because it's a warder. I could actually see him being super crazy sad if Nynaeve dies. I could see him reacting maybe similarly. Yeah, I dig the warders are super homies, and you know they come to battle with each other, and you know their Aes Sedai are hopefully kind of friendish. They're sisters after all, right?
Well, so I'm gonna interject real quick.
Go. And like I said, you could change my mind. Could you?
I don't think I'm gonna change your mind necessarily. But
Okay.
I have this thought. So, I think that we're kind of seeing like Batman Begins land. We're not seeing like
Pimp Land?
we're not seeing Batman animated series Batman where he's like already done all of his training and everything is so easy that it looks cartoonish. Well, it's a cartoon. But when it's Batman Begins Batman, everything's all visceral and real, and he's like missing a step here and there, and he's getting punched in the face when he shouldn't, and all this stuff. So that's not my main point, but I kind of wonder if that's where they're going with this.
So you're saying that Land may not be as advanced as he is in the books.
Right. So that's possibility one, but that's not even the main point. So my main point when I was watching this, I was thinking about this, is remember Maureen and Lan when they went into the spa bath together?
Yep.
That was like entirely a platonic situation.
Correct.
So I think it goes back to Lan's chat with Steppen, when Steppen was kind of stuck on the step of saying, well, I guess I'll have to get used to having sex with those other guys then, because
Being
that's
with
what I
two
said.
guys is technically he said with.
Yeah, he's like and then but then Lan was kind of naive about it. He's like, well,
Two.
what makes you think they're even gonna want you? Like,
I thought he was saying that as like a little jab to a homie.
No, I don't. Yeah, but that's how the guy took it. But he was like, well, who couldn't resist this? And what I think the language of Warders and Aes Sedai that Lan doesn't understand is that if Maureen was straight in this series, and I don't think she is, then maybe Lan and her would have a different, more intimate relationship, because the bond seems to just kind of amplify your emotions as well as the other bonuses that you get. So my thought is, and I'm not even saying Maureen has to be gay or bi or whatever label you want. What I am saying is they're not interested in each other. So because it's purely platonic, like, I think now Lan, in Lan's headspace now, is thinking about losing Maureen on that level. Like, he's like, whoa, what if my bond was like that with her and I lost her? Like, I don't think he was thinking about Steppen at all at that point. And that's when you see Maureen cry, because maybe she's realizing, oh, well, yeah, it's deeper with other warders than Aes Sedai, dude. Sorry. But like, would Lan just go in this series, would this Lan go and kill himself if Maureen died? I don't know. But also remember in the books, when in the book version, spoiler alert, when Lan has to go off by himself at some point, he doesn't give a shit about himself.
No.
Like, when he gets there, he's almost dead and he has to be healed. So I wonder, talking about combining characters, I think they're going to combine Elena and Marilla into one character. And I think eventually we're going to see Elena get Lan's warder. And for cinematography, that works because you have a conversation about her getting a warder, but then she never got it. So then when we give her a warder later, we don't have to have that conversation about her getting one. We already had it. So as far as efficiency and telling the story and everything,
So you think
the plot
Lan will go
to Alana. That's what I think.
Hmm.
And you've heard it here first.
Well, I mean, they've already talked about breaking the water bond.
Right. So that kind of is foreshadowing. And let's be honest. What's her name? Roseanne Pike or
Yeah.
Rosanna? Yeah. She's not cheap. I guarantee you, she's probably the most expensive actor on their bill.
Yep.
So they're not going to keep her around forever. Sorry, everybody. Don't get too attached.
Well, it kind of happens in the book.
Yeah. So, I mean, it depends on how close they're telling the story.
Right.
But notice that what's interesting to me is, and I'll say this real quick, even though they're kind of meshing book 1 and 2 together, we have yet to see Lanfear at all. So I think they're saving her for season 2.
Or, this is my guess. 100% guess.
Go for it, man.
We're going to see Lanfear.
Tinfoil hats, everybody.
We're going to see Lanfear. Episode 8 at, if let's say the whole thing is, let's say 60 minutes, make it easy. We're going to see her at 57 minutes and 55 seconds down. And then something's going down. Lanfear comes down. And either she saves Rand, or Rand does something, and then the show ends on a cliffhanger where you're like, it's friggin' Rand. And it introduces Lanfear right at the end, and bam, you got season 2.
And then we'd know she's like the main person for season 2. That's usually how shows do it. You're right. So that would depart from the book, but in a good way, I think. So the weird thing though is, where's the main big bad of this series so far? They're keeping it mysterious.
The mega big bad as of right now is the White Cloaks.
That's my point. You only have this Ishmael character in their dreams.
Yep.
But we've only seen him like
in dreams
once or twice in dreams.
And he hasn't done anything in the dreams.
And now characters act on his behalf, like the barkeep lady, the innkeeper.
We think
was a dark friend.
Technically, she said dark friend. We don't know who she obeyed.
Oh no! Think about it. She said, "I see you every night in my dreams, all 5 of you." So who would be doing
true.
that?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Good point.
And in the books, if you draw from the book lore, Balsamon would have meetings in Tal Riyadh.
Yeah.
And he would put the impressions of their faces into people's minds.
Yep, true.
Yeah.
Good point.
One of the main White Cloaks, actually, I think Child Jacob or something like that. And he particularly makes him see like Matt Calton, so that like even when his eyes are closed, he still sees him or something. So
yeah, it was crazy. That drive me a little nuts.
Yeah, most definitely. So
sorry, Derek, I couldn't imagine seeing you every moment of the day.
No, definitely not. So think about this. As far as the journey so we pretty much touched on the last couple episodes, right?
Hell yeah.
So think about this. That was episode 5. We have episode 6, 7, 8. That's it.
Yep.
So my theory, my thoughts on how this finale is going to go is we're going to squeeze in some more lore, because we're still world building. So they're going to squeeze in as much lore as they can.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to get to the point where, and this is something that already happened that we don't know about, but they go, holy shit, the next episode is the last episode. So whenever that conversation happens, what we're going to see, this is my theory, I haven't seen these episodes. I think that's when suddenly Maureen or someone, or maybe even Loyal, will be like, well, we can use the ways. And the ways are going to represent a vehicle in this version to tell, that will not be the same as in the books, but it'll be a storytelling device to advance the plot, and it'll fill in all the plot holes. So for example, are there going to be Seanchin in season 2? Maybe not. So if there aren't, maybe right now, Theo, maybe that Waygate doesn't open up like in the books, and maybe it's used like a portal stone from book 2, and maybe that's when we'll see that sequence of alternate realities happen, because maybe like Moraine will be like, oh, it requires a man to change, or no, Loyal will be, or maybe Maureen will be like, Rand, you'll have to help me do it. And then Loyal will be like, I don't know why that would work. It requires a man and a woman to channel. You know, it could be different. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we could get that sequence of everyone having alternate lives. And maybe that's when everyone's like, Rand, you really are the Dragon Reborn, and or whatever. So that's my thought. It probably won't come out that way. But the way they keep showing the ways, like the entrance to it, but that's it. We've never seen inside or where it goes, and that makes me think there is no inside. I think it's going to be a portal. I think the ways are going to be like the portal stone. So that's my theory. I don't think anyone else has said it, and I think whatever it's. I'm not saying it's the room of requirements, but it's just going to be whatever our heroes didn't get along the way between. By the end of book 1 in the series, they'll have it when they get out of the ways. Like maybe Rand will suddenly be experiencing the sword. Maybe Matt will suddenly be a boss with a quarterstaff. And maybe this is how Matt starts to get his memories from other lives. That's what I would do. I don't know what else they can do. And the reason why I say this, Theo, is think about what happens after they all meet in Camlann in book 1. They go, well, we got to go to the Borderlands. We're not going to Tarvalon anymore. There's no time. That's when they go into the waves.
Yep.
And that's when they jump out in the Blight, and suddenly they're just in this hell jungle. And it's not like everything's a Trolloc. They talk about not every animal even looks the same. You have unique things everywhere, like nasty toad pig, gross things jumping out, spitting poison, giant underground worms that can eat you, all this terrible stuff.
Different.
They meet the Green Man, and then it turns out the Green Man is guardian of the Eye of the World, which is the namesake of the book and the name of series 1. So my thought is, what the hell is the Eye of the World? Where is it? Will there be a Green Man? We have 3 episodes for this. So all of those answers, I think, Theo, will just be wrapped up with, this is the Waygate. You're going to go through it. Some funky stuff is going to happen, and it's going to take us to the Eye of the World instead of taking us to wherever we're actually trying to get to.
Yeah, wrap it up quick.
Well, you have to. I mean, 3 episodes?
Yeah.
Because the last episode has to what? It has to set up season 2.
Yep. So you're looking at really 2.5 episodes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing, like what you said, we're not going to know whoever is the Dragon Reborn until episode 8.
And near the end.
And it'll be like near the end, hopefully not post-credits, but like with how Hollywood has been doing things, it would be a post-credit scene even. And that's like, come on, don't do that.
Well, especially if you haven't, as far as I know, they haven't done one yet.
Right. And I think, yeah, no, they haven't. And I think what would be good, though, at this point, with everything going on, regardless of what happens, I still think Rand should be adamant about, well, I can channel, sure, but that doesn't mean I'm the dragon. Like, if that's the road they go down, like, he doesn't have to instantly be like, yeah, it's me. And, he has a journey in the books. That's all I'm getting at. So
yeah, it's not like he's like, I'm the dragon, doom, 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 and I'm done. No, it's not like that. So
here's my thought. My final prediction for season 1 is going to be a cinematography prediction, and it's going to be that episode 8 is going to mirror episode 1 in a much more grandiose way. So episode 1, we got the Trollocs coming to the Two Rivers.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 8, we're going to have the Two Rivers coming to the Trollocs. So I think there'll be a huge army of Trollocs one way or another for episode 8.
Yeah, Trolloc battle.
Any guesses or anything that you would like to see for the finale?
Get me those wolves and some Perrin golden-eyed Perrin. That'd be the snap. I don't think we're going to see it, though. But that'd be cool to have them join in, and then Perrin just kind of takes over the Two Rivers. That'd be jumping quite a bit. But I mean, you could set it up that way because there's a whole bunch of stuff that you have to do in the middle. But hey, it's Hollywood, man. You can do what you want.
So, you actually got a good point, and I didn't even think about this. So, if the Waygate ends up being a portal stone, it could end up being that everyone ends up in different places.
Yep.
But that could accelerate the story quite a bit. Like all of a sudden, Perrin's back in the Two Rivers.
Right.
Who knows, dude? Nah,
Yep.
that'd be good. So we'll see. And I know you love your Perrin. I know you want to get to your Lord of the Two Rivers. And
Yes.
I just finished reading up that in the original series, and let me tell you, everybody, the older you get, the more you enjoy that part of the book. I don't know why, but it's just it's something visceral about it. But it's like something like, oh, he's really getting something done. Perrin for president. Okay, yeah.
Yep. And I am older than Derek, so I may have appreciated it more back in the day.
Yeah, but maybe so. So the last thing I'm gonna say for today, since the theme has kind of been combining characters like Asmodean and Tom. So Tom Modian, that's the thing. Tom is Asmodean in disguise. We know that Valda is kind of a combination of a couple characters.
Yep.
Alana, maybe a couple Aes Sedai rolled into one. And finally, I think Leandrin is probably also a Light Aes Sedai. So with that being said, I want to also start campaigning Leandrin for Amyrlin's seat 2022.
I'm still gonna go Black Aja.
Could be both.
That is true. Could be both. Oh yeah. Either way, I had a blast. Episodes are good.
Absolutely.
I like the TV show. Yeah, there's going to be some differences, but hey, you got to do what you got to do. I take it for what it is, and I like it. I think it's good. I give it 4.5 out of 5 stars thus far.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
You agree with me on that one?
I would give it a 9 out of 10, which would translate to the same score. So
Boom! Yeah.
I think so.
Mr. Math doing it for me. It's all good.
Yeah.
That one is easy math. I got that one too. All right, y'all. I know we've been going around for a while, and appreciate you guys listening. We hope you guys like hearing our voices. If you do, hit that like and subscribe button. We do like to have more viewers. That's always good. Again, if you got different theories or you have a different thought process, or where you're like, man, you guys are totally way off on this, you got it wrong, hey, hit us up on comments. We're good to go with that. And we'll definitely address it and be like, oh man, maybe they're right.
And please find us on Twitter. And
Yep.
if you have a topic related to
that you want us to
mythology-
explore.
mythology or religiosity that you think that you see in real time, and it's let's say at least 5 minutes worth of material, and you want to be a guest on our show, contact us on Twitter.
Yep.
If you have something that you just would like us to discuss, same thing, find us on Twitter.
Yep. No, hit up. What's the Twitter?
It's the Heels Podcast.
Booyah. Exactly. You'll see it. All right, you guys. Peace out for the day.